Oi, oi, som. Oi, oi, som.
Som. Oi. Som.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. My name is Mark Major from the Kuna Climate Center in Germany. It's my pleasure to be the moderator of the session this morning, the launch of the Declaration Towards Resilient and Low Emissions Transport Systems for People, Development and the Planet. We need to be very strict on the timing this morning because the Minister and other guests have other obligations at 10:45. So I'd like to first ask Marusha Kadema, the Secretary General of the Sustainable Low Carbon Transport Partnership, for the opening remarks. Marusha.
Thank you very much. Let me check that everybody can hear me correctly. Yes, fantastic. Thanks a lot. Well, thank you for the opportunity of being here. It's an absolute honor for me to be at this important milestone in the evolution of transport within COP processes. I still see a bit of, can you hear me? No, yes? I see some people still roaming around. Fantastic. Thank you very much. So from the onset, I would really like to commend all the signatories of this declaration, the leadership of the Chilean government. 10 years after the Paris Agreement, it is clear that we cannot deliver shared prosperity on a livable planet unless we urgently transform the way in which we move people and goods. Transport is the backbone of economies and daily life, connecting people to jobs, to education, to health services, delivering goods to markets, generating 7% of global GDP and employing 200 people around the globe. Yet, it is also the second largest source of emissions. The sector consumes 27% of global end-use energy, and 95% of it is still coming from fossil fuels. That has remained virtually unchanged over 50 years, and that is directly linked to the increasing emissions of the sector and toxic air pollution. At the same time, transport systems are facing high vulnerability in the face of climate risk. Meanwhile, billions of people are still lacking access to safe, affordable and reliable transport. And the high costs of moving goods in low and middle income countries and in rural areas hinders trade, the availability of goods and increases the final price of goods. The urgency to act, therefore, has been greater. IPCC is warning us that the transport sector needs to reduce its emissions by at least 59% by 2050 if we want to stay within 1.5 warming. Yet, the demand for moving people and goods keeps increasing, and of course, without a paradigm shift, the impacts of transport on emissions, on air pollution, and on energy use will continue also worsening. Meanwhile, each year, climate-related disasters are already costing between 15 and 20 billion US dollars in damage to transport infrastructure, hitting low and middle-income countries the worst. Under current transport policies, it is estimated that the sector could lose 97.8% of its infrastructure, which is the most severe loss of any other sector. And of course, beyond the brutal financial toll, disrupted transport connectivity also has an impact on the economic development and the social stability of countries. So this is also a moment of extraordinary opportunity. Why? Because in many low and middle income countries, transport systems are still developing. And we see within the next decade that we have the opportunity to orient the investments in the right direction to make sure that we are not locked in carbon retrofits for the future. So this is why now it is the time to set a global goal for transport. As LOCAT, we believe that this unprecedented momentum generated by the declaration that is being launched today paves the way for a structured process going forward. One that will result in the adoption of a global goal for transport in the horizon of the second global stocktake of the Paris Agreement, that is in 2028. This moment will align with the early years of the first ever United Nations Decade of Sustainable Transport, which is starting in January next year. And with this timeline, we have the unique opportunity of leveraging both the framework offered by the United Nations Decade and the global goal for transport to scale up inclusive, climate compatible and resilient transport solutions for moving both people and goods. Once again, Minister Munoz, thank you very much for your exceptional leadership. We truly appreciate it from the global transport community. Thank you.
Thank you, Marusha. I'd now like to invite Cristobal Pineda from the Public Transport Division of the Ministry of Transport and Telecommunications of Chile to briefly introduce the content of the declaration. Cristobal.
Thank you, Mark. Good morning, everyone. We're very happy to be in here as a representative of the Ministry of Chile. We're very proud of having this declaration right now with almost 10 signatory countries. So we very appreciate your support to all the countries that has already endorsed this declaration. We will move very brief with a brief description about the declaration. So everyone knows that transport emissions are rising. There is obviously there is no good news, and clear commitment obviously help, but more ambition is needed. Just for context, almost 2/3 of countries declare that transport is the largest or the second largest emitting sector. So obviously we are very worried about it. We always work in the transport sector, and those are not happy figures. So we think that the previous declarations on COP has put some focus on transport, and it's a good, very good intent about how to treat the transport sector, which is the way of decarbonization. But we think that more effort is needed, and a more or a concrete goal is needed in order to get a decarbonization or net zero scenario in 2015. So the content declaration has several parts, but the main parts are the following. First, recognize that the multiple pathways noted in the global stocktake include a comprehensive set of measures related to avoiding unnecessary travel, shifting mode of transportation, and improving technology. So we are thinking about the 3 ways that we can get at decarbonization: avoid, shift, and improve. Call upon all the parties of the Paris Agreement to work together in a global effort of achieving globally by 2035 a quarter drop in overall energy demand and shifting to 1/3 sustainable biofuels and renewable source. And that is the main part or the main paragraph of the declaration. That is the goal that we are proposing behind this declaration. And third, commit to working together to collectively achieve this global effort, increasing resilience and reducing emission, which resilience is very important also, together with reducing emissions. Fourth, recognize that the peace and pathway implementation will take place in a national determined manner. There is no intention behind this to impose some policy to every country. Every country has a right to decide which is the best way to tackle decarbonization. Fifth, express the need to continue progressing on increasing the availability of adequate and predictable climate finance for mitigation and adaptation in the transport sector. We reference that because obviously finance is very important to get the goals behind the declaration. Why we are proposing a quarter drop in overall energy demand and shifting to 1/3 sustainable biofuels and renewable resources by 2035? That's because we put again the track of the emissions of our global greenhouse gas emissions back on the track in order to get a net zero goal in 2015. We are right now here in the current state. We have this interim effort that we are proposing in 2035 with both goals as an interim effort, and we put that again in a good track in order to get the net zero goal. So that is the main idea behind the declaration, and that's why we are proposing this. We're keeping this in line with the IEA studies and so on. So we think this is a good proposal, and it's a very. We know that it's very challenging but we are very confident that we can get this interim effort at first and the net zero goal and 2050. So again, thank you to all the countries and the signatory countries that are behind this. After this, this is not just a declaration, we are working on an implementation plan after. So we invite you, other countries to unite efforts behind this declaration, the interim effort and the net zero goal in the transport sector. So thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you, Cristobal. We will now have short remarks from representatives of the countries that are signing the declaration. And it's a great pleasure to first invite Juan Carlos Munoz, the Minister of Transport and Telecommunications from Chile.
So, thanks a lot. Distinguished ministers, colleagues, friends. Let me begin by expressing my deep appreciation to all the countries that have signed this declaration and contributed to shaping it. Chile is proud to have led this collective effort that brings together several countries from two different continents, Latin America and also Europe. We are united by a shared belief that transport is not only an engine of growth, but also a cornerstone of social equity and environmental responsibility. This, we understand, is a wonderful side product from the Chilean presidency of International Transport Forum from 2024 to 2025. This effort has also been worked very actively with GIZ, with the International Energy Agency and also with SLOCAT. The declaration reminds us that to secure a livable future and transport systems must become both resilient and low emissions, capable of withstanding climate impacts while helping us reach the 1.5 degree target of the Paris Agreement. So this COP of implementation, this is a perfect place to talk about this. But above all, this declaration stands out because it calls for specific, measurable global efforts for the transport sector aligned with the goal in the long run of reaching a net zero scenario. It's time to move from general commitments to quantified action. We're calling upon all parties of the Paris Agreement to work together on the transport sector and to contribute to the global effort of achieving, as Cristobal was presenting, a 25% reduction in overall energy demand and a shift to 1/3 sustainable biofuels and renewable energies resources by 2035. As you can see, this is a very responsible call where we're not only focusing on the improved side of transformation, but also on the avoid and shift. So it's not only about electromobility, but also on how do we move collectively, more efficiently, more effectively, with lower energy demand. This is a bold and concrete vision, one that transforms aspiration into direction and direction into measurable progress. It acknowledges the diversity of national circumstances, but also our shared responsibility. Each country's path will be different, yet our collective goal must be clear and aligned. Now, what we've done in Chile, let me tell you a little bit about this. We're already demonstrating that measurable transformation in transport is possible. And this is something we did because in most of our NDCs, we talk about emission reduction, but we never talk about how are we going to do this in the transport sector. So Santiago today, and these are great news from our country, Santiago today operates the largest electric bus fleet outside of China, with nearly 4,400 electric buses, showing that large-scale electrification of public transport based on an energy matrix with 68% renewable of low carbon generation is both viable and beneficial. And let me stop here for a little bit, because this is good news for everyone. On one hand is This has created an industry for the operators that are really shifting the way we understand and we invest into public transport. We have shown that this is also convenient. It's not like a medicine that is painful to have. It's a medicine that allows us also to improve the quality of public transport. People love our electric buses, which makes public transport more attractive. And if you change people's trip from cars into public transport, the second target about lowering emissions, or reducing the energy needed for our daily trips is also improved. So by shifting our diesel buses into electric, we understand that we are addressing both, reducing energy and improving the renewables that are used for that energy. Second, in Chile, we have also implemented environmental and energy efficiency standards for light and heavy vehicles. Over the last 4 years, an improvement of 8.5% in the average energy efficiency of light vehicles in Chile was reported, 8.5. These policies are reducing emissions while also lowering the energy intensity of the transport sector, directly supporting the kind of energy demand reduction this declaration calls for. This approach, grounded in data, in indicators and accountability, is essential. If we want the transport sector to truly contribute to climate action, because what we can measure, we can improve, and what we can track is what we can accelerate. Chile believes that setting a quantifiable effort for transport will not only mobilize stronger domestic action, but also guide international cooperation, investment, and innovation. It will help direct climate finance to where it is most needed, particularly to developing countries that face the dual challenges of decarbonizing while ensuring accessibility and resilience. As we move forward this declaration, both is a message and a roadmap. A message that transport is central to climate action, and a roadmap that tells us how, through measurable, transparent, and inclusive progress, we can make that action real. Only by transforming our commitments into concrete indicators can we truly deliver those results for people, for development, or for the planet. Let me finalize thanking the countries that will be signing this declaration with us. This is not only the host country, Brazil, but also Spain, Norway, Switzerland, Portugal, also Costa Rica, Dominican Republic, Honduras, Colombia, and of course, Chile. I would also like to thank Cristobal for leading the progress of this declaration and for the work that we've been able to do together. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Minister. So we now go from the very south of South America to the very north of Europe, and I'd like to invite Sofia Lofdahl, an advisor with the Ministry of Climate and Environment from Norway.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity to come here today on behalf of Norway. I'm the political advisor for the Minister of Climate and Environment from Norway, and he sends his best wishes over here because this is an important day for global commitment to speed up the transition in the transport sector. The good forces need to stand together, and that's why I really have the pleasure to be here today. And I must say, Juan Carlos, the Chile's program for electrification city buses is really impressive and a role model for all of us. And I want to say some words on how Norway has worked with the electrification of vehicles, because it's been very important for years, because the transport sector is a significant contributor to greenhouse gas emissions in Norway, accounting for about 1/3 of the total emissions. So therefore, reducing emissions from transport necessary to reach our national targets and NDCs. So to say something about our We have been working on this a lot the last couple of years. As I'm 90% new sale of electrical is electrical. Percent of passenger fleet is electrical. That has been a very popular and good step for us to. Can you hear me? Yeah, good. To get in front of this challenge. So we are now moving on to bigger vehicles and machinery. But I would also like to say something about how we were able to do this kind of shift in just a couple of years. So we had several measures nationally, and it has included packages of tax and user incentives to promote electrical vehicles and charging infrastructure. So by lowering some taxes, it has become more cheaper for normal people to also buy electrical vehicles in Norway. And Norway has also been helping to build up the fast charging infrastructure, because Norway is a really long country, and therefore we have speeded up the transition with helping actors to take the step and building up the capacity. So to just sum up, we really like this declaration and supports it from the Norwegian side, and we can't wait to see how this is going forward, because it's really necessary to fulfill the Paris Agreement, to also have focus on this. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. I'd now like to invite Maria da Luz Antonio from the Institute of Mobility and Transport in Portugal.
Good morning. Okay. Good morning, all. I would like to address some words to the Minister Juan Carlos Hernandez Munoz. Thank you the invitation for participating in this event to the signature of the declaration. Portugal strongly believes that ensuring development of the sector transport requires a resilient, climate compatibility, secure, accessible and affordable systems with robust infrastructures adapt to the climate risk and capable to maintain this functionality in the face of extreme and slow onset events. As stated in the declaration, this aim only can be achieved by transition away from fossil fuel through electrification and diversification of energy sources, increase the use of renewable energies, and promoting public and non-motorized transport while reducing emissions and forest resilience and low carbon infrastructure. In this alignment with the global targets must be considered the specific needs of each country and population groups more vulnerable. In the respect of Portugal, we have been developing a comprehensive package of public policies aligned with the spirit of this declaration. Namely, we have a policy of lower costs of the public transport, the Norway by green passes, and you have developed incentives for renewal of the fleet and put some targets in order to lower emissions and provide a better quality of service. Having said that, Portugal strongly supports the ministerial declaration that, in your view, will be a milestone for the transport sector? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd now like to invite Sarah Victoria Gonzalez from the National Council for Climate and Carbon Markets from the Dominican Republic. Please, and I'd ask you to keep your remarks
Thank you.
brief.
What?
Please be brief.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Well, thank you so much to our Chilean colleagues and to everyone for having us here today. For the Dominican Republic, it is very important to have a clear guideline and a clear view towards the transport sector. You know that we have been seeing a lot of innovation in energy generation through the past few years, and definitely transport is the next sector that we should be looking at, especially when we talk about a reduction of GHG emissions. For the Dominican Republic, GHG emissions of transport account around 20%, and we have a goal of reducing that 20%, 30% for 2030. This is our national transport and mobility strategy. And we're doing that by electrification of city buses. We're also having a main focus on the education system and how it's linked to transport, introducing about 200 electric buses for students to get from school to home and from home to school. And that is also linked to a very important project that we have of solar roofs. So that links renewable energy with electric mobility, which is very exciting for us because it's a whole circular economy thing. And well, there's many other initiatives that we have. We also have many incentives, but since in the account of time, I'm just going to say that we're very excited to have all of that aligned into our NDC and looking forward to the implementation of the GST. Thank you very much. Happy to be here and fully committed with this declaration.
Great. Thank you very much. I'd now like to invite Mr. Jorge Emilio Salavarini from the Minister of Natural Resources, Vice Minister for Natural Resources and the Environment of Honduras.
Hello, everybody. Hello? It's working? Yes. Can you see me? People have problems finding me. It's very difficult, but here I am. And Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, greeting to all of you from Honduras. Under the leadership of our president, the first female president of Honduras, Xiomara Castro, and hopefully we're going to have a second one to continue with our environmental goals. Honduras is advancing a national information that places sustainability, social justice, and energy sovereignty at the center of the development. In this vision, the transformation of the transport sector is very essential, not only to reduce emissions,
Happy
but
to talk about the
to
Pacific
modernize
Resilience
our
Facility.
economy, strengthen public service, and improve the quality of life of our people. Guided to the commitments established in our national determined contributions, the NDC, under the Paris Agreement, Honduras is working to promote cleaner
finance, that it's accessible,
mobility system,
that it's scalable,
improve
and that it's
energy
focused on
efficiency,
adaptation and resilience,
expand
which is a big gap in the finance piece.
the enabling conditions for the low emissions technologies. To
Established
the
through
efforts
a new
of the
international
Secretariat
organization.
of Energy and our ministry, the Environment and Natural Resources, called CERNA, and other national institutions, we are taking very important steps to align transportation organization with long-term climate resilience and economic competitiveness.
Facilities. So that
These
money
actions reflect
invested,
the political will of the government
investment
of
is what
our
will then
President
be used
Castro to
the
advance
community scale
toward a
projects
transport
and
system
resilience
that is
support and
cleaner,
disaster reduction and
safer,
sort of support
and more
to Pacific
accessible to
Islands.
everyone.
So, you know,
Yet,
what we've seen
we
with
must
other
emphasize that the countries like Honduras in Central America, the scales and pace of this transition depend on adequate, predictable, and accessible climate finance, as well as cooperation and technology transfer that support equitable and just transition. Honduras values platforms like this one, which allow us to exchange perspective, explore opportunities for collaboration, and strengthen collective efforts to build resilient and low-emission transport system across our region. Thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you very much. I'd now like to invite Mr. Diego Arias Alvarado from the Ministry of Public Works and Transport in Costa Rica. Please, you have the floor.
Hello, can you listen? Okay. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate the initiative. I have a lot of problem in order to enter to the event. Sorry, was impossible, but I enjoy a lot the manifestation. It's incredible. According with the place, according with the idea, I would like to talk to you about the short history in Costa Rica related to transportation, related to the place. Because in my country, it's incredible, we resolved two important aspects. In Costa Rica, the electricity is almost 100% from clean sources. That's right. Another situation is the landscape. If we put together mountain, agriculture, the landscape is zero carbon. But it's not enough. It's a great goal, a great meta, but it's not enough because many countries is following to get this meta. 100% sources, clean sources for energy, landscape neutral. But in Costa Rica, the main problem is related to transport. 60% emission is regarding to transport, and 79% is related to private transport. In a presentation a few days, I was explaining is for the country it's not enough because we need to change final energy uses. We need to electrify energy in transport, in industry, in domestic useful. In Costa Rica is important because the electric automobiles is one of the most important Latin American, but not heavy transport, not buses. In buses we have only 75 buses only. We need a huge opportunity in order to achieve the goal. So the explanation, the place that they were talking before is very important in Costa Rica because all the opportunities is based on transport. Heavy transport is impossible to move hydrogen at this time. We need to move electricity or biofuels. In industry, even the same. But the most important is transport because the incentive for the private transport is important because people have to be confident around the mechanism. We need to build an ecosystem related to transport. It includes education, technical, engineers, coordination between institutions. Is exactly what we were talking in this opportunity. Thank you so much, because in Costa Rica, in the region, in the Latin America, the idea, the meta is very clear. We need to phase out, to transition away the fossil fuel. It's the only way. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Vice Minister. The Minister from Brazil has also been delayed, so you're in good company. So I'm sorry for that. So that concludes the list of representatives from participant countries. I'd like to now ask Juan Carlos Munoz to close the launch.
So, thank you very much for joining us. The Paris Agreement was extremely clear regarding we need to keep the temperature rise before 2 degrees and make every effort to make it less than 1.5 by 2050. And that, of course, requires bold actions in every sector. And as we have heard from every country signing this document, that transport sector is really key on achieving the goal. And unfortunately, since the Paris Agreement to this day, very few countries have said, this is how are we going to do this. These are the goals, these are the targets that we're going to be achieving to reach that 1.5 degree increment. So I am very happy to see that in these 10 countries have moved a step ahead, and they have moved this step ahead together with a clear vision, with a target not only in reducing energy, but at the same time to raising the percentage that comes from renewables. And the goal now is that within our countries we need to reach this target. We need to do what we're agreeing to, but also there's the call to other countries to join us and to also incorporate into your NDCs to declare how are you going to keep your emissions low to contribute to this 2050 goal. And there's an opportunity, of course, to join this declaration for other countries after this day. These are the 10 first countries, but I hope many more will join. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so now we understand that the Minister from Brazil has managed to arrive. He's just coming in now. So, please, I invite Javier Barbaillo Feio from the Ministry of Cities in Brazil to take the remarks. Yeah. Welcome. Wait 1 second. Wait 1 second.
Bom dia a todos e a todas. Quero começar saudando o Juan Carlos, que é Ministro dos Transportes e Telecomunicações do Chile, o Rony Chaves, que é Vice-Ministro do Meio Ambiente da Costa Rica e Energia, a Sophie Lundau, que é do Ministro de Clima e Presidente da Noruega, a Maria da Luz Antônio, que é membro do Conselho de Administração de Portugal, a Sara Vitória, que é diretora técnica do Conselho de Mudança do Clima da República Dominicana. Muito feliz de poder estar hoje aqui com vocês, falando sobre um tema que o Brasil está cada vez mais ampliando, no sentido de que o nosso transporte, seja a partir dos corredores de ônibus, dos VLTs, dos BRTs, do próprio metrô, essa ampliação. Nós queremos fazer com que a nossa matriz energética do nosso transporte no Brasil seja a mais limpa possível. Nós já temos avançado bastante a partir das políticas públicas do governo federal. Nós mesmos, no nosso plano de investimentos do governo brasileiro, que nós fizemos no ano passado, nós já fizemos uma seleção de 2,5 bilhões de dólares só para fazer a troca dos nossos ônibus por ônibus elétricos, para que nós possamos exatamente dar, além do conforto, porque todos esses ônibus têm ar-condicionado, têm Wi-Fi para dar o conforto para as pessoas, mas eles são ônibus que têm uma baixíssima emissão de carbono. É bem verdade que no Brasil, por conta da nossa infraestrutura, em nem todos os lugares nós conseguimos fazer com que o ônibus elétrico seja uma realidade. Isso é uma verdade, isso é uma realidade. Não temos infraestrutura suficientemente para poder atender a todos toda essa necessidade. Mas o que nós entendemos é que se nós apontarmos um caminho, né, de qual matriz energética será do nosso transporte público, nós acreditamos que isso vai se desenvolver e que isso vai se ampliar, e isso vai criar exemplos para outras prefeituras, governos de estado, para que eles o façam também, essa substituição do transporte público, no caso daqueles que são a partir de ônibus. Fora isso, nós temos feito também um plano junto com o BNDES, que é um dos bancos de desenvolvimento, um dos bancos de fomento do governo brasileiro. Nós também temos feito, pego 21 regiões metropolitanas e nós pegamos e fizemos um estudo que apontou 187 novos planos de mobilidade, todos eles exatamente no sentido de que sejam sustentáveis, de que agridam menos o nosso meio ambiente, no investimento total de cerca de 430 bilhões de reais, que se nós formos converter para dólares, nós vamos chegar a alguma coisa em torno de 200 bilhões de dólares, isso até 2050, e nós quisemos fazer esses investimentos, e nesse sentido, para que nós possamos fazer com que o serviço, além de ser um serviço melhor, porque você vai fazer com que as pessoas cheguem mais rápido às suas casas ou aos seus trabalhos, mas ao mesmo tempo a gente capture carbono, a gente tire carbono da atmosfera, e com isso é a contribuição que o governo brasileiro tem feito. Se por um lado nós estamos querendo trocar a nossa frota para uma frota mais limpa, por outra, a partir de corredores de transporte, de metrôs, de VLTs, a gente faz com que esse transporte chegue mais rápido, ele passe menos tempo emitindo CO2 na atmosfera, e com isso a gente faz a contribuição a partir do nosso programa de mobilidade do governo brasileiro, a gente faz esses investimentos. Quero mais uma vez aqui agradecer a nossa participação do governo brasileiro aqui. Vocês desculpem eu ter chegado agora, mas obviamente vocês sabem de todos os transtornos que estavam acontecendo na entrada aqui da COP. Eu e muita gente ainda está tentando entrar aqui, mas agradeço sinceramente e parabenizo essa iniciativa que é fundamental. Um detalhe que eu acho que é importante nós termos compreensão. Essa COP, ela precisa ser a COP das florestas, mas ela precisa ser a COP das cidades. Hoje, 80% das emissões partem das cidades, e boa parte delas são da mobilidade, do transporte público, e isso os governos precisam se comprometer. As cidades têm que estar tanto no processo de contribuição para a diminuição da redução da emissão de CO2, como também para as obras de infraestrutura. Nós precisamos deixar nossas cidades preparadas para, se novos eventos climáticos acontecerem, que a nossa infraestrutura esteja preparada para eles. Obrigado e parabéns por todos vocês.
Thank you very much, Minister. So that brings a close to the event. We would like to invite representatives from all the countries to take the stage, please, for a family photo. For a photo? Yep. And I would invite anyone who is interested to join us for the press conference about the launch at 11 o'clock in press conference room 1.